Good morning, everybody. It's John. It's 7:22 a.m., January 27, 2025. Here on my father's rights and my anti-trafficking YouTube channel. I want to say some things that I've noticed that might help some guys when obviously there's some clear signs that there's something wrong with the mother of a child. You'll notice these odd things where all of a sudden, the neglect actually doesn't come from nowhere. There's subtle signs that I saw, and it really didn't make any sense to me until I spoke to a psychologist about people's behavior. And one thing I can note is I never seen my wife's mother actually ever tell Clarissa I love you, or hug her, or ever hug us, or give us any affection. Okay? And that's coming from my mother-in-law, obviously the mother of my wife. There was totally no empathy or desire to express any affection toward any one of her children. What I didn't realize that actually my wife actually picked up the same cues and habits of her mother. And what I mean by that, the day my daughter was born, I was in the delivery room, and I thought it was the most beautiful thing in the world when I finally got to meet my daughter. I did. Now on the other side, when my daughter finally broke into this world, she was placed on her mother's chest, and the first unusual thing I noticed was my wife said, "Ill, get her off me, clean her up, oh, don't put her on me." So they took the child away from her, cleaned her up, and swaddled my daughter, cleaned up my daughter, put her in a towel, and then they went to Grandma, "Do you want to hold your grandchild?" She goes, "No, no." Now, the nurse then turned to me, and when she said, "Do you want to hold your daughter?" I ran through all of Clarissa's blood and guts to get that child and hold her. And I was holding her, and she opened her eyes, and that was Gia's first smile when she seen me. I was, "Hey, talking to her, Gia, I love you," and stuff like that. "I've been waiting for you." And she smiled. Then they took her and put her on the French fry toaster, as I call it. And I thought it was a little bit too hot, so I put my hand there to block them from frying my little girl. But also, when I was in the recovery room, the person that actually held my daughter for like 2 days straight, that was me. If you look in my if you look on my let me see if it's here, in my Microsoft account or my login account, you'll actually see a picture. That's me holding my daughter for 2 days because nobody else wanted to. And I didn't sleep for 2 days when my daughter was born. And plus, when my daughter is mentally stressed, for some reason, Grandma, she would go over Grandma's house, and my daughter would complain that Grandma would just put me in the corner and go about her business and not even talk to her. It's like there was no attempt to make a bond with my daughter. And then when Clarissa would be home talking on the phone to her mother, talking about some crap that the mother wanted, but she wasn't willing to pay for it. She thought everybody else had to provide it for her. My daughter would be sitting there waiting for me to come home from work because she was worried that I would get killed because the job I did was very high risk. As a matter of fact, it was the highest risk job that you could do in the world, period. But I did it because my daughter needed it, And it was the only thing available to me after we got laid off. I did the training, I took the risk every day. I actually was promoted up the ranks to going from minimum wage up to $45 an hour. I was that good. And I risked my life every day for my child. And my child actually cared about me doing that. So I want my daughter to know I love her. And like I used to tell her every day before I went to work when I was doing that job, I have to tell you I love you every day because I might not get to tell you tomorrow. When I seen my daughter getting stressed out, I picked up on the clues, but her mother, she didn't. So that's the signs of neglect. And then my daughter told me what was bothering her, and I took corrective action, and I dealt with that problem, and I got a hug. Again, my daughter was getting bullied in school. She remembers Max, and nobody would listen to her, including her mother. All the parents were complaining about this boy Max. This boy Max actually stabbed one of the other girl students with one of those metal compasses. Nobody would listen to my daughter, and every day she went to school, it was a day in hell for her. So I taught my daughter, I looked around, I said, did you tell the teachers? Did you tell the principal? My daughter told me, because I listened to her, yes. And they're not listening to me. Did you tell mommy? What's mommy do? Nothing. She just talks to the teacher and laughs and giggles, and then my daughter's problem's still the same. So I taught my daughter to defend herself. And of course, the boy slapped her one day, and needed to say is my daughter solved her problem. And that boy never bothered her again. Then, my daughter doesn't want to go to school again because obviously I could tell she's being bullied again. Or she feels she doesn't fit in. My wife just simply doesn't send her to school. That's how my wife deals with problems. That was the first year. The second year, 59 days not sending my daughter to school. And because I complain about the neglect, I'm the bad person. You see what it is? They're neglecting their children. It starts small little incidents, and then the incidents get worse and longer and prolonged, worse and long. Basically, they just neglect the kid 24/7. And that's why I feel that I have to send the police over my wife's house, because I don't think she's stopped the neglect, because even when CPS went over there, she actually exacerbated the neglect. It's gotten worse. And I don't think it's gotten any better. I expected, say, my daughter what to the 4th grade to the 9th grade, and each consecutive year she doubled her days off from school. So I don't think she's going to school at all. It's safe to surmise when you see the pattern. So to my daughter, this is why we're at where we are. Then you find out with my wife's confidant and emotional support, because she needs that from a person that trafficked their own child they were the guardian of. And then they're over there chummying up to my daughter. And basically what we have is somebody I know that trafficked the child is now constantly around my daughter and giving my wife directives of what to do to separate me from my child. You get what I'm saying? It seems to be that these people know what they're doing, and the first thing they do, they separate the relative from their husband so they can have access to the children and possibly get rewarded for giving this child away to some kind of pervert. And this is why, probably in a couple of weeks, the cops are going to have to go over the house again to see what's going on with my daughter. And on that, I'm out of here.